Fans thought they knew the story. The night King Von was gunned down outside an Atlanta nightclub in 2020 was tragic, violent, and unforgettable. Footage surfaced, arrests were made, tears were shed. The world mourned a rising star taken too soon. But what if that wasn't the whole truth? What if everything you believed about Von's final moments was a lie? Because now, years later, King Von's closest affiliates are coming forward with shocking claims that are shaking the rap world to its core. And they're bombshell. They say King Von didn't die in the street. They say he was still alive until he got to the hospital, and someone made sure he never walked out. The accusations are wild, emotional, and downright chilling, from mysterious hospital footage that never saw the light of day to whispers of an inside job involving people Von once trusted with his life. Fans are left questioning everything. How deep does the betrayal go? Who had the motive? And more. Importantly, the access? Before we continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next chapter of this story. As social media explodes with speculation and Von's family remains tight-lipped, insiders are painting a darker picture of that night one, where the real killer may have been hiding behind hospital walls. And now, the truth refuses to stay buried. The night was supposed to be a celebration. King Von, fresh off a string of hits, had gathered his closest affiliates and friends to mark what should have been a victorious moment. But fate had a different plan, one that no one could have predicted, and one that's now being questioned more than ever. Insiders who once swore loyalty to Von are now speaking out. Their words are dripping with anger, betrayal, and fear. One of Von's closest allies, who asked to remain anonymous, revealed in a hushed phone call, the truth is darker than anyone wants to admit. Von wasn't finished when they say he was. He was still breathing when he got to the hospital. But something happened there, something they don't want you to know. The story everyone knows goes like this. A shootout erupted outside the nightclub. Shots rang out. Von was hit, chaos ensued, and paramedics rushed him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead shortly after. But what if that timeline is false? What if, instead of the hospital being a place of healing, it became the stage for a sinister act? We got to the hospital quick, the source continued. He was alive, man. I was on the phone with the paramedics. They said Von was responsive. But the moment he got inside, everything changed. Surveillance cameras stopped working, staff acted weird, and then silence. Emotions ran high among Von's affiliates. Some were furious, accusing hospital staff of negligence or worse, complicity. Others whispered about an inside job. There's always been rumors about people close to Von, one friend confessed. People who wanted to see him gone for their own gain. And the hospital was their perfect cover. This revelation sent shockwaves through Von's family. His mother, who had remained silent since his death, was reported to be devastated, questioning the official narrative for the first time. A family source said she always hoped for justice, but now she's haunted by the idea that Von's death wasn't just about the shooting, that someone let him die or worse, helped it happen. Fans too were shocked. On social media, hashtags like #JusticeForKingVon and #HospitalBetrayal began trending as conspiracy theories spiraled out of control. Some claim to have seen blurry footage, allegedly showing hospital staff acting suspiciously. Others posted alleged eyewitness accounts, claiming to have seen a mysterious figure lurking near Von's hospital room. People want answers, said a longtime hip-hop journalist. And this new info opens a whole new chapter. If true, it means Von was betrayed not just by rival gangs or enemies on the street, but by those who were supposed to save him. The drama didn't stop there. Sources claim that Von's medical records were tampered with some files mysteriously missing or redacted. They're hiding something, said a whistleblower. If Vaughn was alive, then the timing and cause of death are being manipulated. As the whispers grew louder, law enforcement officials found themselves under pressure. An anonymous detective said, "We're reopening the case, but it's complicated. Hospitals don't hand over footage easily, and when you add powerful people into the mix, it becomes a nightmare." Inside Vaughn's circle, tension exploded. Accusations flew like bullets. One associate shouted during a heated argument, "Who do you think you're protecting? Vaughn's dead because someone sold him out, and it wasn't on the street." The family was left divided. Some believed the hospital conspiracy. Others feared publicizing such claims would ruin Vaughn's legacy. "We want the truth," said one family member. "But we also want to protect him. This is bigger than us." Meanwhile, social media influencers jumped on the story. Some spreading unverified rumors, others trying to keep the conversation respectful but relentless. "This is the darkest hip-hop conspiracy we've seen," tweeted one popular commentator. "If it's real, the implications are huge. Trust is shattered." Drama unfolded in unexpected ways. Vaughn's former rivals suddenly expressed sympathy, some even calling for calm and justice. "No one wins when the truth is buried," said a once hostile rapper on a live stream. "This is about respect and the truth for a brother." The hospital itself refused to comment, citing privacy laws, but some insiders suggested internal investigations were underway, quietly and without fanfare. At the center of it all was Vaughn's legacy, once seen as a beacon of hope for Chicago's streets, now shadowed by questions of betrayal and murder from within. And then came the first major twist. A leaked audio surfaced from a private phone call allegedly between Vaughn and a trusted confidant days before his death. In the chilling clip, Vaughn warns, "If anything happens to me at the hospital, it ain't natural. Watch your back." The clip went viral overnight. Fans and critics alike dissected every word, every tone. Some said it proved Vaughn feared betrayal. Others questioned who he was referring to. Amidst the chaos, a mysterious figure emerged, a woman claiming to be Vaughn's secret informant, someone who had warned him of threats within his own circle but had been ignored. In an exclusive interview, she said, "Vaughn knew they wanted him gone, and when he was vulnerable, they took their chance." The plot thickened further when a former hospital employee came forward, revealing irregularities in the night Vaughn arrived. "There were people in the hospital who didn't belong," the employee claimed. "I saw doors open and close where no patients were supposed to be. It was suspicious." The employee's testimony added fuel to the fire. Now, not only were fans and family demanding answers, but the police were said to be following new leads. Yet, amidst the rising storm, some tried to downplay the drama. Vaughn's management team issued a vague statement. "We mourn Vaughn's passing and support all ongoing investigations." Rumors only hurt the healing process, but healing seemed far away. The city was divided and emotions ran raw. As the story unfolded, Vaughn's music saw a resurgence, fans streaming his tracks as a tribute, but also searching for hidden messages, clues, or lyrics hinting at the real story behind his death. Every line, every verse sits like he was speaking to us from the grave, said a devoted fan during a live reaction. And so, the saga continues. The question remains, who killed King Vaughn at the hospital? Was it a careless mistake, a cover-up, or something darker? And most importantly, will the truth ever come out? The night that was supposed to celebrate a rising star has turned into a haunting mystery, where loyalty is questioned, families are torn apart, and the lines between friend and foe blur into shadows. And this is just the beginning, as the leaked audio clip and the whistleblower's testimony continued to circulate. What was once speculation began turning into suspicion. The streets were talking. People who had stayed quiet out of fear were now dropping names. and Von's closest allies started pointing fingers not just at outsiders, but at each other. The tension was boiling. One affiliate, known only by his nickname, Rico, went live on Instagram with a face full of rage. "I've been silent too long," he said, voice shaking. "Von ain't die in no damn shootout. We got to that hospital with hope, and he left that place zipped up. Someone did that, and they was close." He then dropped a name, and the internet exploded. Mello. Mello, another longtime associate of Von's, had gone quiet after the funeral. Fans had always found it strange how quickly he disappeared from social media, and now, with Rico's fiery accusations, they were convinced he knew something. Comments flooded his old posts, people demanding answers. And Mello finally broke silence with a cryptic story post that read, "You don't know what I've seen. Don't speak on my name unless you're ready for war." The divide within Von's circle deepened. What had once been a tight-knit crew turned into a battlefield of distrust and grief. Behind the scenes, insiders described it as emotional warfare. Loyalty was now a weapon, and everyone was using it to defend themselves. "They not grieving right," said a cousin of Von's. "They acting like they fighting for him, but it's all ego, all clout." Meanwhile, the truth still buried. Then came another twist. An anonymous nurse from the hospital contacted a local investigative blogger. In a shaky voice message, she confessed to witnessing something that had kept her up at night since that night. They brought him in. He was bleeding, but still talking faintly. There was a man with him tall hoodie, pulled low. He kept whispering to Von, "I thought it was family." But when the staff turned away for just a second, that man walked into Von's room, and then the monitors flatlined. The nurse didn't know who the man was. She said he left the hospital without anyone stopping him. She didn't report it at the time because she feared for her life. But now, with so much buzz, she felt the need to speak. The blog post went viral within hours. Von's fans were beyond shocked. This wasn't just conspiracy anymore. This was starting to sound like a calculated hit. The hospital wasn't the sanctuary people assumed it would be. Meanwhile, Von's mother, who had been quiet through the rising storm, broke down during a private vigil that was streamed by mistake. "He told me they were watching him," she said, holding back tears. "He told me if anything ever happened, it wouldn't be who we thought." Those words, raw, unrehearsed, hit hard. The media jumped on it. Talk shows and YouTube commentators dissected her every word. Was she confirming the theory? Or was it just a grieving mother trying to make sense of a tragedy? But one thing was clear: trust was gone. And someone inside Von's circle was hiding something, and then, like something out of a movie. Footage leaked from a parking garage near the hospital. Security cam footage. In it, you could see a figure in a hoodie matching the nurse's description. The man had entered through the staff entrance. No ID, no hesitation. His face was never fully captured. But what shook everyone was how casually he moved. "Like he'd done it before," said one retired detective. He wasn't panicking. He knew exactly where to go. That's not random. That's trained. Speculation grew. Was this a professional hit? Someone paid off? Or was it personal? Theories emerged, tying the mysterious man to a rival gang. But others believed it was someone Von knew and trusted. Then came an unexpected voice in the chaos. Asian Doll, who had long been associated with Von romantically, dropped an emotional live video. In it, she tearfully claimed Von had secrets. "He was paranoid those last few weeks, and he told me if something happened to him, not to believe the headlines." Fans rallied behind her, with many demanding a full federal investigation. Even celebrities began speaking up. One major rapper tweeted, "If what they're saying about Von is true, that ain't just beef. That's assassination." The pressure became too much. Atlanta PD quietly reopened aspects of the case. According to leaked documents, investigators were now reviewing hospital staff, security footage, and communications from that night. Some names were already being redacted, but the deeper they dug, the stranger it got. One hospital staff member reportedly disappeared just days after agreeing to talk. A routine resignation was filed, but neighbors said he packed up overnight and vanished. His phone disconnected. His car left in a parking lot. Panic began to set in among those who had been close to Von. One affiliate even posted a story saying, "I ain't going out like that. If they want me, come get me, but I ain't keeping secrets no more." The drama reached a boiling point during a private memorial gathering in Chicago. Emotions were high. Von's family, friends, affiliates all gathered to honor his memory. But the event turned tense when two former crew members got into a screaming match in front of everyone. "You think we don't know what you did?" One shouted, "You think we stupid?" The fight was broken up, but not before phones captured part of it. The footage leaked within hours, and fans began to suspect that the truth wasn't far off from exploding in public. As the memorial ended, a man slipped an envelope into Von's mother's hand. No one knows what was inside, but witnesses said her face went pale. She left the event without saying a word, and just like that, the internet was on fire again. Was the envelope the proof? A confession or a warning? More theories spiraled. Insiders claimed that someone was planning to speak to the feds. Others said a tell-all documentary was in the works. And one unverified report even suggested that the FBI had quietly begun surveilling certain individuals in connection with Von's case. But through it all, one question remained. If Von was alive when he got to the hospital, who made sure he didn't leave? And more terrifying, why? Because if this was more than just a shooting, if this was a planned betrayal, then whoever pulled the strings is still out there. And they're watching every move. The days following the memorial chaos were nothing short of explosive. Rumors swirled that someone had finally decided to flip. And within the next 48 hours, that rumor became reality. A former affiliate of King Von, known on the streets as Lil Dev, walked into a precinct in Atlanta alone, unarmed and visibly shaking. The footage from outside the station showed him pacing, rubbing his hands together, almost backing out. But after a deep breath, he went in. What happened next sent shockwaves through the rap world. Lil Dev sat down with investigators for over 5 hours. And while officials didn't release the full details of what he said, leaks began trickling out. And what those leaks revealed was enough to shake the foundation of everything people thought they knew. According to Lil Dev's testimony, there was a setup. And it started long before the night of the shooting. Von was becoming too powerful. Dev allegedly told investigators. He wasn't just a rapper anymore. He had real street weight, real connections. And some people in his own camp didn't like that. They were scared he was gonna cut them out. He went on to claim that certain individuals close to Von were being paid to provide information on his whereabouts, his routines, even his vulnerabilities. And the most disturbing part, he said the plan wasn't to kill Von at the club. It was always meant to happen at the hospital. He was too protected outside, Dev said. Too many eyes, too many cameras. The hospital was supposed to be quiet, controlled, and they had someone on the inside to finish it. Fans were horrified. The theory of an inside job wasn't just speculation anymore. It was now tied to real testimony. And then the next twist came fast. A clip from hospital security, previously thought to be lost, was anonymously sent to a major independent journalist. The footage, grainy and muted, showed Von being wheeled into a trauma room. But the camera doesn't follow him. It lingers on a man in a hoodie, standing near the nurse's station. The same man seen on the parking garage cam, the timing matched. The angle was consistent. The figure stood for almost 2 full minutes before walking out of frame toward the area where Vaughn was being treated. The silence online was chilling. That man ain't a visitor. He ain't no family. And no one even noticed he was there. That's an op, tweeted one fan. Vaughn single quotes S family. Still reeling from the envelope handed to his mother during the memorial, finally decided to make a move. In a public statement, they called for a federal investigation, claiming local officials had been dragging their feet for too long. They wrote, "King Von deserves the truth. If his death was part of a larger betrayal, we won't rest until it's exposed. We don't care how powerful or connected they are. We want justice." Meanwhile, more people began coming forward. Not all with truth, some clearly chasing clout, but a few brought receipts, phone logs, screenshots, voice memos, and the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. One voicemail, allegedly left by Vaughn a week before his death, had him sounding tense, even paranoid. "They've been moving weird lately," he said. "If something happened, just know it wasn't random. It's always the ones closest." Those words echoed across social media. The phrase "it's always the ones closest" became a rallying cry. Fans began investigating on their own, forming timelines, digging through old footage, lyrics, and interviews. Some pointed out that Vaughn had started distancing himself from certain affiliates weeks before the shooting. Others noted strange behavior in posthumous tributes, spotting odd body language and forced emotions. "They wasn't crying for him," one fan claimed. "They were crying for themselves because they knew what was coming." But as pressure mounted, so did danger. Lil Dev, now in protective custody, allegedly received threats from multiple burner accounts. His family was relocated. And yet, despite the danger, he didn't back down. In a leaked transcript of a follow-up interview, he claimed, "I couldn't sleep knowing I knew the truth. Vaughn looked out for me. He ain't deserve that. He ain't deserve what they did to him." The streets were no longer just whispering. They were roaring. Even rappers who had never commented on Vaughn's death before started speaking out. One major artist who had collaborated with Vaughn in the past tweeted, "I stayed quiet to keep the peace, but the more I see, the more I believe he ain't die how they said he did." The hospital, once silent, now found itself the subject of a class action suit. Multiple families claimed unusual behavior, security failures, and unexplained complications at the same facility over the past year. Vaughn's case had sparked something bigger, an entire reckoning, and then, like lightning, the biggest bombshell dropped. A former hospital security guard, now living out of state, gave an anonymous interview on a private podcast. With his voice altered and name withheld, he revealed that on the night Vaughn arrived, they were told to shut down one wing of the emergency room. No explanation, just orders from above. They said it was lockdown protocol, the guard said. But we'd never done that before. We weren't even told who was coming in. It was like they knew something big was about to happen. Added that after the event, several cameras were wiped. Not just turned off, wiped, like they never existed. He said it was the final straw for many fans. Now, all the pieces were lining up. The suspicious hoodie figure, the nurse's warning, Lil Dev's testimony, Vaughn's own premonitions, and the silence from the people who once claimed to be his family. And yet, even with so much now exposed, the question remained, who ordered it? Because if Vaughn's death was part of a setup, then someone had to be behind it. Someone pulling the strings. Someone with the power to coordinate a hit inside a hospital and clean up afterward. And in part 4, that answer finally comes to light. But what happens when the truth isn't just shocking, it's devastating? What happens when the real betrayer is someone no one suspected? The internet was restless. the air thick with anticipation. The pieces were in place, the dots connecting rapidly. The whispers had become screams. Fans weren't asking if Vaughn was betrayed anymore. They were asking who was behind it. And the answer was about to hit harder than anyone imagined. Just days after the anonymous guard's explosive interview, a federal document was leaked. A list of individuals subpoenaed in a widening investigation into Vaughn's death. Buried halfway down the page was a name no one expected, not a rival, not a street op, not some shadowy figure. No, it was someone Vaughn once called Brother T-Roy, for those who followed Vaughn's career and life closely. The name T-Roy was legendary. A longtime friend, Day One affiliate, someone who had been down with Vaughn since the trenches. Their bond was thought to be unbreakable. Countless photos, throwback videos, even unreleased tracks had the two side by side, talking about loyalty, trust, and the pain of the streets. So when that name appeared, fans were shattered. Within hours, people started pulling up old footage, interviews where Vaughn spoke about betrayal, Instagram lives where T-Roy looked distant, lyrics that once seemed vague but now felt dangerously specific. But it didn't stop there. A second leak followed. This time audio, allegedly from a wiretap. The voice, allegedly T-Roy's, speaking in code but clearly referencing that hospital job. Investigators confirmed that voice analysis was underway, but the damage was done. The internet ran. With it, double quotes, "Nah, you make sure they get him after the doors close," the voice says. "I don't care who in there. It gotta be clean." The world stopped. Fans were shocked. Family members heartbroken. Even people who had stood by T-Roy's side began distancing themselves. His own cousin posted and deleted a message reading, "Damn bro, say it ain't true. Please say it ain't." And then, silence. T-Roy disappeared. His phone went off. His social media accounts went dark. No one could reach him. Rumors swirled that he fled the country, while others claimed he was in hiding. Vaughn's circle, already cracked, was now broken completely. A former affiliate said, "You don't understand how much that man meant to Vaughn. If he really did it, then this ain't just betrayal. It's heartbreak. It's a whole lifetime of loyalty turned to poison." Even Asian Doll reacted with a single-worded tweet. Unthinkable. But why? Why would someone like T-Roy betray Vaughn? Some speculated money. Others said jealousy. And then came a theory that felt too real to ignore power. T-Roy had allegedly been trying to launch his own career. Vaughn's rising fame meant more control, more distance. Some insiders claimed that T-Roy had become resentful, watching his best friend turn into a global figure while he remained in the shadows. They loved each other, said one source, but that love turned into competition. Quiet, ugly competition. According to Lil Dev's testimony, Vaughn had already started pulling back, limiting who had access to him, checking who was leaking info. And T-Roy reportedly didn't like it one bit. He felt pushed out, Lil Dev claimed. Like Vaughn was replacing him, so when the opportunity came to work with powerful people and eliminate the one obstacle in his way, Roy took it. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was calculated, and that's what hurt fans the most. Comment sections became digital graveyards of heartbreak. "Not T-Roy," one fan wrote. "He was the last one I thought would fold." Others weren't so forgiving, calling him a snake in the grass and the real villain of this story. And in Chicago, emotions ran even higher. Murals of Vaughn were updated, some showing his eyes closed, tears painted on his face. One even had a snake coiled behind him, subtle but powerful. And then yet another twist, a private investigator hired by Vaughn's mother revealed that the envelope handed to her during the memorial contained a copy of hospital shift logs. Visitor, entries, and a flash drive. On that flash drive, it's a single video file. In the video, a hidden camera caught T-Roy in a conversation with a man tied to security detail. Their voices were low, but clear. "He gonna be down for at least 20 minutes. The man said. "You sure about this?" T-Roy replied, "Just get it done. I can't keep waiting." That was all the confirmation fans needed. The outrage turned to demands. People wanted arrests, justice, accountability, and finally Von's mother broke. Her silence again in a heart-wrenching video. She sat in front of a small candle, Von's photo beside her. "He trusted them," she said softly. "He gave them everything, and in return, they gave him death." Her voice cracked as she added, "But we will not let his legacy end in betrayal. We will get justice. For him, for us, for the truth." And just when it seemed the storm couldn't get any wilder, T-Roy surfaced. He posted a grainy, shaky video, face barely visible. Eyes red, voice quiet. "I didn't kill Von," he said. "But I ain't innocent either. I knew what was coming. And I ain't stop it. I ain't protect my brother. And I've got to live with that." It wasn't an admission, but it wasn't a denial either. The internet exploded. Some called it cowardice. Others saw it as guilt. But one thing was clear. He was running from more than just police. He was running from a truth that had already caught up with him. And so, the final chapter of this twisted, heart-wrenching saga came into view. King Vana, warrior of the streets. A storyteller of pain, a symbol of resilience, was not gunned down in some random act of violence. He was betrayed, watched, set up, and finished off in the one place that was supposed to keep him alive by someone who knew his secrets, who knew his soul, and who decided his time was up. And while his body may be gone, his voice, his story, and now his truth live on in the world. It'll never hear Crazy Story the same again. And there you have it. The truth, twisted and buried for years, is finally crawling into the light. What started as a tragic shooting outside a nightclub has unraveled into one of the most shocking betrayals the hip-hop world has ever seen. Not by enemies in the streets, but by someone King Von trusted, loved like a brother. Fans are still reeling. Emotions are raw. The streets are divided. Was this the final chapter in Von's story, or just the beginning of something even darker? Because even though T-Roy may have broken the silence, questions still linger like ghosts. Who else was involved? Why? Didn't more people speak up sooner? And most chilling of all, how many more stories like Von's are still being silenced? The family remains committed to seeking justice. The investigation, though slow, is moving. And the fans? They're louder than ever, demanding answers, truth, and accountability. This isn't just about King Von anymore. It's about trust. It's about loyalty. And the cost of fame in a world where betrayal hides in plain sight. But now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Von's death was a setup from the inside? Do you think T-Roy's confession was real or just a way to shift the blame? And most importantly, what do you think justice looks like in a case this twisted? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next jaw-dropping story. Because in this world, the truth always finds a way out, and we'll be right here when it does. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and never stop asking questions.